It's just a stats. Reggie Johnson, Eugene Morton coming to you from the lovely city of Atlanta, Georgia. And we're here, 2024 NBA playoffs. No, I don't know if there's many surprises here as we kind of go down. Now, we'll talk about kind of the playoffs in the bigger picture because by the time this is out, and a couple of these games might be played by now or by then. So we'll talk about it and probably talk about it again during the playoffs as we kind of get into it. You know, the NBA started the NBA second season. I'm kind of a fan of these play-in situations. The only thing I don't like about the play-in is all these teams getting in. I mean, when you look here, 10 teams out of each conference have a shot here. I don't know if this is like a March Madness thing. Like, are we just gonna start letting everybody in here at some point? Let's let the whole team. Let's do the whole thing. We'll just call it all seeding. Regular season's only for seeding, but you're all in.
Right. I mean, at least the number, whoever like between that 7-8 team, at least they have to lose twice, right? I mean, at least that's the given, right? So at least the 9-10, if either one of those teams lose, they're out. At least your 7-8 teams. So I mean, at least that's the fairness, I guess, if you want to say that for it.
Now, any storylines, anything jumping out to you? I'm glad to see OKC finally getting up there. Big fan of OKC. We have been throughout the years. It's nice to see them out here look like they're kind of putting it together, maybe even ahead of schedule there. I'm not sure exactly what their schedule might have been when they were starting to put this team together. Some of their younger players, a young team. But definitely Chet not being there last year probably held things up for them.
Right.
But it's good to see that team ascending because we both have liked that team.
Yeah, love that team.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
The Warriors still in here. I don't see anything here that's really surprising, man, as I look over this. A lot of things that we do on this show, we're both seeing pretty much at the same time to try to get like genuine reactions here. But this has kind of been the tail of the tape all season as I look through the seeding here, the final seeding. Nothing here looks out of the ordinary. Boston and Milwaukee. The Knicks being 2, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
we can talk about that, right? Because
and Orlando in the fifth spot. You didn't. I mean, from where they were last year, weren't even in the conversation, and now they're in the 5th spot. You know, so I mean that's pretty impressive. Indiana, how about Indiana taking that 6th seed?
Indiana's a team's been coming up too. I like Kid Halliburton on that team, and I think they got Siakam this year. Good coming up team, see what they do. You know, we got what I will say is that the parity, there's a lot of different players as I look through the teams and the teams and how many I'm kind of star counting here as I kind of go down the list, like how many stars do they have? 2 stars, 3 stars, 2.5 stars. I like Garland and Mitchell on Cleveland. I only know Banchero with the Magic. Everything.
What about Pablo? Is that what you said? I'm sorry.
Yeah. I just said his last name.
I'm sorry.
That's the only guy I know. Like, if we want to count him as 2 players by saying his first and last name, maybe then we can give
another great defensive team, right? And that's the thing. No one's going to see them in the first round because we're going to watch them on the NBA TV. But I just think it's cool and it's also frustrating. And then we're going to talk about the Hawks, like all these teams ascending, like your Cavaliers, your Magic, your Pacers, even the Knicks, right? Even the Knicks, number 2 seed, right? I mean, they're not probably going to get too far without Randall, but I mean, still,
is Randall out for the entire playoffs?
Yeah, he's out for the season. Yeah.
Boo.
But again, all these teams ascending while our team, I know we're going to take it to later, but just that's the disappointing thing for me. Even your 76ers, right? There's the 7th seed, but there's reason behind it because Embiid's been out injured. So that's when you see all these teams like Cleveland, Orlando, Indiana, and the Knicks, like these teams are going in the correct direction, and we seem to be stuck in that mediocre lane.
Yeah, and I would rather be one of the lower teams, to be honest with you. I don't like barely backing into the playoffs. And not necessarily having a draft pick that'll change your fortune. You know, I feel like you really kind of need a draft pick that would change your fortune here a bit. But as we kind of go through the playoffs here, well, let's get more into the season grades because I'm thinking maybe we'll get a little bit more in depth there because there's nothing really looking at the playoffs. Oklahoma City first, Denver second, Timberwolves third. I do like how Ant has that team.
And it's been amazing. That
big fan of what Luka and Kyrie situation we're kind of putting together there.
Amazing. A normal Kyrie season, and we get a good team out of that, right? Luka.
Yeah.
Did you put money on that?
Too, by the way,
yeah.
No. By the way, I did not. I did not. But I think getting some of those other players, they did a good job getting players, other guys to put around them. That I think is paying dividends for them. It's interesting looking at the Lakers only because Anthony Davis, I think, has played over 70 games.
72 games this season.
Man, who would have thought that? That's trending in the right direction. So you love to see stuff like that. Zion is out there pretty much this whole season. Happy to see that.
Not Zion, but Point Zion. Point Zion playing out there. A little point guard.
For sure. Absolutely. He's doing it all and kind of becoming that player that people were hoping that he would become. You know, it's kind of taking him a little bit, but he's starting to look like
he's going in the right direction, right? Right direction that we've all been hoping for him to go.
Let's move on to our team grades, and we will start, as a matter of fact, here with the Hawks. And I'm not sure if you
there we go.
Not sure if you thought this was going to be more than a D plus for, and what kind of, as we're going through the list of these are Bleacher Reports team grades. We're going to do like a kind of a rapid fire here. We're going to go down the team grades, see if we agree or not. And it just so happens, not because we're Atlanta fans, but Atlanta Hawks, I think they're just doing this in alphabetical order, are starting here. And for the podcast audience, I'll just read off their record and what the grade is. So they gave them a D plus from Bleacher Report for the Hawks, 36 and 46. Their preseason over under was 42.5. So we did not clear that, by the way. So not even able to cover the 42.5. That's not even giving us, that's only a game and a half above 500. Mm-hmm. They weren't giving us a huge benefit of doubt to begin with. And we didn't even meet that.
Right. I mean,
so D plus, agree or disagree?
Agree. I mean, I sent you the text from StatMuse, right? That when Trey and when they're playing together, they're below 500. When they're not playing together, they're 500. So that's exactly what we expected. There wasn't anything they did in the offseason that surprised me that I thought this team was going to be different. So I can't disagree with it.
All right. Let's scroll on down here. Let's get on down to the Boston Celtics. A plus for the Boston Celtics, 64 and 18. They cover their over under of 54 and a half. What are your thoughts here?
Easy. I mean, we all thought the Porzingis trade was going to haunt them, and it's helped them. They've just been smart. They haven't overused him. They've saved him. They saved all their veteran players to be ready for the playoffs. And every stat that they have offensively projects them to be in the finals. I mean, every team that has had their offensive stat has made the finals. So it's just, and they're 15 games above everybody else in the East, and that's like that's how every team is separated in the West, from the top team to like the bottom team.
What's interesting is they're the kind of team that gets judged in the postseason now, man. Boston, you're a postseason team. Welcome to the land of winners and expectations.
And
hopefully we'll be joining you there.
Yeah, I'd love to join that. Please be there. I would love to be that.
One of the Hawks will have expectations.
Yeah,
one day.
Fantastic. I love it. I'd love to be in that conversation.
Brooklyn Nets D minus, man. They were worse than us. They were worse graded than we had. 32 and 50, 37 and a half. But then there wasn't a lot of belief in their season to begin with. Unders 37 and a half for them. And 32 and 50, they didn't even cover 37 and a half. What are your thoughts on the Brooklyn Nets? Just Mikal Bridges, I want to say their best guy out there, right?
Mikal Bridges, they've got some good players. It reminds me of the Hawks teams. Oh, we have a nucleus that could win A+ games. This team would be a 50 game winner in 2008. That's what reminds me of, right? They could say, oh yeah, they're gonna just because, but the league is too talented right now. You cannot put this type of team together and expect to be a playoff contender or a championship contender. And I don't know what the point of firing Jacques Vaughn was, because you handed him just a bunch of mediocre talent. And I mean, Mikal Bridges is it, and that's it. You gave him Cam Johnson, and and that's it. And what, Claxton? Yeah.
Yeah.
You finished exactly where you I thought you were going to finish.
And what with no superstars out here? Come on,
right?
It's over with. Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons, so we all know that. So it's kind of like they need a guy or two.
Yeah.
This team is significantly far away right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Charlotte Hornets. D+, they got the same grade we got. 21 and 61. They're 31.5 preseason over under. They didn't cover that either. Doesn't look like 31.5 for the people who can see there. D+ for the Charlotte Hornets. I kind of agree with that. I have no issue with that. D+. What are your thoughts?
Well, they hit on the draft pick, right? Miller is fantastic. He's going to be a star.
He's going to be a good player.
Sure. Right. But it's, again, ball. When can he be healthy? And what is he? That's
now, man, how many seasons are we going to give this situation?
Right.
We had the same situation with Trey, and we'll kind of have an in-depth conversation about that. I'm pretty sure about sometime throughout the season or towards the next couple of months or so.
Yeah.
But if you can't get those superstars right in this league, and like you just said, these teams are too talented, and if you can't get the superstar question right, what do you do?
Right.
I mean, congratulations to them at least, though, having somebody. I feel better for them than I do Brooklyn. I mean, at least they got somebody.
Yeah, at least you have Miller.
Right.
You can build around him, even if LaMelo doesn't work out. Maybe you trade him for some other assets. But at least you have somebody like, oh, we have a legit guy who can take us somewhere else.
Facts. Let's go down to Chicago Bulls. 39 and 43 record for them. 37.5 was their over under. They did cover that at least. 37.5. And what does that C? C to me is like a meh grade, and Chicago is like a meh team right now.
Yeah.
No Zach LaVine.
But playing better without Zach LaVine. That's the thing. That's the crazy part, right?
It's funny because I still have a hard time thinking they're a better team without him, despite that. You know what I mean? Like I'm having I guess I struggle with that a little bit. Like they're gonna need somebody, even if it's not Zach LaVine. They're gonna need somebody here to help your boy DeMar out there. And the team is not a terrible team. I like the kid Kobe White. I'm a fan.
Now, I haven't researched this yet, but his statistics got better since he grew the afro out. Now, I haven't researched it.
Wow, Kobe White.
But I think since he grew the hair out when he had it in North Carolina, numbers got better. I have no proof to back this up. I'm just going on a gut feeling. But I feel like once he grew it back out, the stats got better. Again, nothing to back it up. I'm just saying eyeball test here.
We have zero to back that.
Zero back it up. Just saying
it could be true. There. And once again, these are Bleacher Reports. You can go over to Bleacher Report if you want to look into these grades and read. They have descriptions for them. We're just kind of running through them. And there's a few that did. Maybe we'll do another website's grades because we have a couple of websites that come out with grades like this towards the end of the season. I'm a fan of Bleacher Report and a couple of these other websites. So we'll probably go through a couple of those too as well at some point. Cleveland Cavaliers, they gave them a C, kind of another meh team. I kind of like the Cavaliers. Let's go back up to Bulls, Cavs. I like the Cavs more. So they gave the Cavs a C and they gave the Bulls a C. I probably would go C+ for the Cavs. I can't have the Cavs and the Bulls rated get with the same grade. 48 and 34 for the Cavs. Preseason 50.5. So they underperformed a little bit by Vegas's standard, but you're still in the playoffs. Decent seating.
Right.
I'm gonna go C+ for the Cavs. Maybe teetering on a B-. So I would go a little higher than what they did.
Yeah, just another meth team. They're just a meth team with a better record, right? We don't know because sometimes they look great and sometimes they don't. So
you think Mitchell's out of there?
Oh yeah. I mean I think if you saw the press conference with the GM was like, oh yeah, we're all about getting him, did the whole song and dance. And then
I saw Mitchell kind of walk that back
a little bit. So it's hard to know what, again, a good team. It's like, I'd rather have a I'd rather have the issue that the Cavs have versus the Bulls, right? I have a lot of good got a lot of
Yeah,
good talent
absolutely.
around me that
I
makes
like the
sense.
to the Cavs for sure.
Right. Versus the Bulls, I have a lot of talent, but that doesn't make sense together. With the Cavs, again, if he doesn't, this is going to be the season they trade him, but at least I'm going to get some assets back. I'm going to get better assets back for Mitchell than I am going to get for Zach LaVine. That's just fact.
Wow. So you think if Chicago moves off Levine, well, at least Mitchell's playing, right?
Right.
Levine is hurt.
Exactly.
So
And
I
again,
think that alone should get
right.
you something better for a guy who's actually out here
Right.
participating.
And we've
You know
seen
what I
Mitchell
mean?
perform in the playoffs. We have not seen Zach LaVine perform in the playoffs. And that's your big difference right there.
Yeah, and we'll get a chance to see him this playoffs here. We'll see what he does. Dallas Mavericks A. I agree with the Dallas Mavericks A because I like the
Absolutely.
Kyrie situation. Like, how can you not? He's been model citizen. If we're gonna rank on Kyrie the way that we have, then we have to give him credit for when he's just putting his head down and handling business. He's been a model player in Dallas, doing nothing but handling business for that team. They kind of figured it out. They had some growing pains. Maybe you didn't know if they would kind of work it out. But this year's been great, 50 and 32. Let's see what they're over. What Vegas had their over under. Vegas had their over under at 45 and a half. So
yeah,
they covered by a few games there. So shout out to Dallas, man. I'm teetering A plus for them, man. That's I'm gonna go A, but it's A to A plus for me for the Dallas Mavericks. Just figuring it out and seeing Kyrie be the player that.
Right. And what was your over under saying that beginning of the year? Like, a team that Kyrie's on.
Maybe it's funny. I would have said probably like 3, 4. I probably would have been right under there. 44 games.
Mm-hmm.
I would have had them over 500 because they're just a good team enough. Right. Those teams in the West seem to casually get over 500. I would have had them over 500, but I don't know if I would have had them winning 50 games.
No.
And they made some trades and stuff this season.
PJ Washington trade,
yes,
has done pretty.
Paid dividends, man.
Wasn't like on like top of your radar, but has just done enough spacing to give Kyrie
look at and they added Gafford too. I was a fan of them adding.
Yeah, they did Gafford. Some just smart under the radar trades that you just don't. Hey, you're not going to you're not going at the end of the day on a trade deadline going, oh, this is up here, but it makes sense for their team. They pay dividends, like you said. Their bet record shows it.
All right, so A, you agree with that, A?
Oh, absolutely. No argument there.
All right, let's go down to Denver Nuggets. I gave them B plus. It's interesting. They kind of held serve. 57.5 was their, or 57 was their record. 52.5 was the projection, the preseason over under. So they beat that pretty comfortably. It's crazy. I guess you get so good sometimes that they're second seed. They're not terrible.
No.
I guess your second seed's a fall off for you if you were first seed last year. They're like, oh, well, they're kind of falling off, I think they would still, at this moment, I think Jokic is still favored to win an MVP.
Still.
And I would still have trouble betting against them as a team. As far as going through the stretch, we'll have a few playoff games here, so we'll see. But I would still have a hard time saying Denver won't until somebody beats you, right? Especially we see in the NBA, these teams go on multiple year runs. Until somebody beats the team, it's hard for me to pick against them. So I would probably go A minus. For not finishing first. I don't really know, but I wasn't dissatisfied with their performance this year. No. What are your thoughts?
No, they, Murray was injured, and they rested him probably towards down the stretch. And they went into Sunday is the 3-way tie, and they end up second. It's Jokic, like you said, he's going to run away with MVP. They're still, like I said, it's still until someone beats them. The games they've lost just have been crazy losses, right? Has been like people that are like was the Dallas game where like Kyrie threw up some wild shot to beat them. That's what it's going to take to beat this team. You got
to beat them 4 times too, right?
Right. You got to beat them 4 times, and you got to beat them that way. Like that's how you're beating this team. They're this team. They remind me of that old when the Bucks won the championship, where the Bucks got to that time in the regular season. We're like, oh, you're not winning in the last 2 minutes. We're going to beat you, and that's how Denver is. Until someone can just take that away from them, like you said, I agree with you. No one's going to beat them.
All right. So B plus, you agree with that?
It's fine. I don't unless again, it doesn't matter. Let's B plus. Yeah, B plus them. Go ahead and watch them win the championship again.
Right. It's
Right.
almost like what else can they do?
Right.
Detroit Pistons F. I mean, it's hard not to agree with this, right? Like, yeah, 14 and 68. Woo. Their over and under was preseason projection was 28 and a half. They couldn't get there.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness. I mean, probably F for that alone. And you know what's crazy? As you look at Jalen Duren and Cade Cunningham here's on this shot, the still that Bleacher Report has here. I mean, I think they have guys. I like their talent. Their talent. This is a team that's not devoid of talent, in my opinion. So it's interesting to see them be so horrible. They're paying Monty, like they're going for it. Like Detroit's a team that when I look at this team, it doesn't like they're resting on their laurels. It looks like they're making a genuine effort, but for some reason, this just isn't working out.
No.
Here.
No.
What are your thoughts on F? I mean,
can you go lower?
It's hard for me not to say. I can't. Right. I definitely can't go any higher.
Wait, minus. I don't know.
F minus, right? F it has to be because 14 to 68 is an F. No matter how you won 14 games.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I don't. You gave a lot of money to Monty, who just didn't seem like he knew how to coach all of a sudden. Maybe Chris Paul masked a lot of that when he was in Phoenix because he had that coach on the floor. But this is just, I don't know. You gave all that money to him. Now you're just kind of stuck with him at least another 2 years, right? You can't just you can't throw a towel on the guy because you gave him all that money. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of talent here. This is like I'm watching, I don't know, the Wizards. Like I feel like there's more talent on this team than I would think the Washington Wizards have. So it's it's you're tanking in a season where this is like one of the worst draft picks, worst drafts ever, like the worst drafts. It's been called that ever. So right. So I don't know what your plan here is.
Okay. So we both agree there. F for them.
Mm-hmm.
Golden State Warriors C. The only reason I would get the Golden State Warriors is C. Let's look at their record. 46 and 36. A little bit under their preseason under their projection for 48 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't exactly clear that at 46 and 36. I mean, if C is a meh, I can say this is probably the most meh season the Warriors have had. One of the more meh seasons from them, in my opinion. And I think they're kind of happy. Maybe I would even go C plus for them being into the play. And they kind of like came on at one point. It looked like they might have had a losing record at one point in the season.
Right.
So they came in a few games above 500. I'm going to go C plus. I would go 1 up for this because I think that I could see why you would give them a C, especially based, maybe even you give them lower than that based on what they are and what you've seen them be. So whatever, sometimes you set the grade so high for yourself that expectations are high, and what may have been a season like this for the Detroit Pistons will rock it up to like a B.
Right.
a B plus for a team like that,
46 wins in the East gets you in the playoffs.
Right. They have 46 wins. And they're a mad team, man. So, according to Bleacher Report, I'm gonna go C plus for them. Maybe even B minus. I have a little bit more love for the Warriors than what the Bleacher Report's giving them. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and Clay come off the bench, like his numbers, like you said, it didn't look right in the beginning, but I mean he's turned it, like the numbers have improved since he's kind of turned into that Ray Allen role, right? Since he's come off the bench. I think if he can embrace that, and again, it's the Warriors. I just it just the playoffs to me, it doesn't make sense without them and the Lakers. And it's like those two teams, like I know they play on games, but my gosh, wouldn't you just rather have those two teams in the playoffs?
Man. I'm happy to see them here. I never want Steph at home during the playoffs, man.
No.
All right. So let's go down to the Houston Rockets B plus. Now, this is an interesting team. Interesting team, man, because I love the kid Jalen Green, man. I think I told you before. I like the kid Jalen Green. I think
on trade rumors, right?
For solid player he is for them. That would have been a horrible decision for them to do that. They didn't quite get into the playoffs here, but I think they punched a little bit above their weight. Let's see. 41 and 40.
41 and
They finished
41.
500.
They
Their
were
preseason
yes.
projection was 31 and a half, ladies and gentlemen. So Vegas had no belief in these guys. But they finished at 41 and 41. It's almost 10 games over what they were projected to do. And I can see why you would get a B plus for that. You know, and this is kind of the same thing. It's funny to go from the Warriors C to this, because this is what I was talking about, how the bar is lower for certain teams, right? So they're giving a B plus for just making it to 41 and 41. Warriors go 46 and 36 and they get a C. That's because I think the expectations are just higher.
Yeah.
For the team. So Rockets exceeded expectations, and I think they did pretty good this year. I think this is a young ascending team, and I'm a fan of the kid Jalen Green there. I think they may need another star like him. I guess we'll see, because you're in the West. It's just difficult out there, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You agree with that B plus, or you guys?
Oh yeah. I mean, I know how many texts I sent you about Whitmore. I mean, why we didn't draft a guy? I mean, guy was just
a few teams passed on him, man, and that was a mistake. I think we talked about that last year.
Yeah,
watching him drop the way he did, and I don't know if it was necessarily for anything that was on the court.
It's all injuries. It's injury based, because he granted it was injuries, but yeah, no, it's a fun team. The Dylan Brooks, the Van Vliet, we all laughed at that signings, and like, look at us
paying dividends,
and they're going to be
now you're scrappy little team,
you know that won 41 games. Good for them.
Indiana Pacers B plus. I kind of feel the same way about this team. Yep. From an ascension standpoint. Let's see here: 47 and 35 on the record, 38 and a half on the projection. So they almost 10 games over their projection. 47 and 35.
Yep.
They got Halliburton there. They got Siakam there. I like the team. B plus. I can't agree.
Can't argue.
I'm B plus. Yeah, I'm a B plus for this team too.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything negative to say about them. I don't know how far they're going to go. I guess we'll see. But I don't have anything overtly negative.
No, but again, like I said before, they are at least they're trending in the right direction, which you always want your franchise to be, right? Like they went
similar to what we were just talking about with Houston, with the Rockets.
Right.
Trending in the right direction.
And then you got Siakam, like you weren't even in the conversation last year, and now you're a 6 seed, and you're gonna play Milwaukee, a team that you've destroyed in the regular season. So they could possibly go into the second round of the playoffs.
That would be amazing for that team. All right, Los Angeles Clippers. I'm B plus only because they've been relatively healthy and they've kind of got it put it together here. A 51 and 31 impressive record. 46 and a half was their preseason over under. Vegas wanted them to do there, but I'm kind of impressed, man. I can't really say anything bad about this team. They are all playing.
Yep, healthy.
They're all out there, right? I could have really just probably stopped it. They are all playing, and just ended it right there. Because certain teams, you just look at certain players, and then if you guys can get together on the court, then you're going to have a decent team. And so this is one of those kind of situations. You had Paul George, can be in and out of lineups. You got Kawhi, of course, notoriously can be in and out of lineups. And then they threw James Harden in there, and they finished with 51 and 31 record, over 50 games won.
Yeah,
I have no disagreement with this B plus, none.
No,
I'm very excited. I want to see the Stars play in the playoffs. So I'm hoping that streak of good health continues, so we can kind of see what can be done here with this team.
And then you have Russell Westbrook coming off the bench to kind of light your bench on fire, right? So you got that.
Yeah, Russ, man. For Russ to come off the bench, he has to really respect the people that are on the court.
Yep.
Los Angeles Lakers C plus 47 and 35 for them. 47 and a half was the preseason over and under. So they wouldn't have covered by about a game or so, but still they're right there though. Pretty close to the projection. You know, I would almost give this a C plus by itself for Anthony Davis playing 72 games. Anthony Davis playing so many games, they're kind of ascending towards the end. You know how I've told you throughout the years, Eugene, how I feel about these playoff teams, these past championship teams that kind of stick around in the playoffs. Like if they wake up, teams aren't going to really want to see these guys if they wake up and LeBron is out there still giving you LeBron type numbers, especially if you get playoff LeBron out here. They're not going to be an easy out. I'm not saying they're going to make it, but I'm just saying they're going to be a hard out though.
No.
And for them to even be kind of getting high and coming on right when you need them to be, I think spells great things for the team. LeBron looks like he can play for another 2 or 3 years, man.
My
How long is it going to take LeBron to put up scrub numbers? He's got to be like 41, 42 before he starts
God.
putting up scrub type
I'm
numbers.
just waiting for it to happen. I'm like, if it happens, I'll be surprised. But yeah, even like you said, great point. Last year, I think they either I can't remember if they got swept by Denver or won like the gem sweep, but every single one of those games was competitive. Like the Lakers played that team so competitive all year long. It's like, because once they beat the Lakers, you're like, well, that's it. No one's beaten Denver at this point. But you're right. Just the way the C plus, I think is very is accurate because they went on that tear, won the was the tournament. What was the midseason tournament, and they kind of like fell off a little bit, and then they just and then
what if they're trying to go forward? We won the midseason, the first inaugural midseason tournament. We come away with that trophy. Now they're trophy hunting again. And listen, these are superstars out there. This is the time of the year. It's starting. This time of year where these guys get hungry. They know that trophy's within grasp, and they really start to kind of wake up. And it'd be nice to see both these guys wake up at this time and go on a decent playoff run. C plus is fine for me only because it's the ups and downs of the season. Darvin Ham, they were talking about firing at one point during the season. So
Darwin, and it's like
shout out for Darwin making it through the season here.
Right,
like that wasn't going to happen at one point. Memphis Grizzlies. They gave the Memphis Grizzlies an incomplete. So what the disrespect there for the Memphis Grizzlies? Let's look at this real quick. 27-55. Preseason over and under 45.5. Definitely has something to do with John.
Yeah, come on. I think it's
so that's maybe why they gave them the incomplete. Memphis Grizzlies get an incomplete because their superstar was just not out there. So, okay, I can let them live there, man.
It's still like like I said, if you watch any Memphis Grizzlies games, it's not like they gave up after he was out.
No, I've seen them playing. I've seen them out there playing, man.
Right, and it's like I mean, if I'm going to the next season, I have Ja coming back. I wouldn't mind having that lineup. I wouldn't mind, getting behind that team if I was in Memphis. So yeah, I think Bleacher was like, I know it's this season, but like let's look a little to the future here. What's going to happen later on with this team?
So would you grade them? I mean, at their current grade, it would either be probably a C minus or C minus to D. But I think the incomplete. Only reason the incomplete would be accurate to me is because it's hard to assess a team with its best player missing.
Yeah, I think that's what incomplete's better than not giving them an. I like that versus giving them a grade because like I think that's where they're going. It's like wait, we can't really give this team a grade because their best player wasn't there. So
so you don't really know what they would look
like.
Right, get a little bit of a benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah.
For them. Miami Heat, I guess let's look at their record. 46-36, same as the Golden State Warriors. 45.5. They covered that preseason by half a game. Preseason projection was 45.5. They got 46 wins, 36 losses. Very quiet season.
Very
for this team for me. C kind of feels right only because of that. I didn't, it doesn't surprise me they're here.
Yep.
Wouldn't surprise me if they made another deep run to the playoffs. Wouldn't surprise me if they got eliminated first couple rounds in the playoffs. Like it's kind of very go either way with this team.
Mm-hmm.
Not really a ton to add here for me. You got anything for them?
Nothing. It's an older team and did some things on off season. Didn't really do anything in the trade deadline. That's like, but it's Boston has to be a little scared that they might get that 8th seed, right? They don't want to probably see them.
Because it's just like the other teams I've talked about. They didn't win a championship, but they can wake up and they've been in some. So
right. So
they can wake up and become a problem. Milwaukee Bucks D. I think if anything, 49-33. The preseason over under, I think, tells a little bit of a tell of the tape of a grade like this, the Bleacher Report grade. And by the way, once again, these are Bleacher Report's grades, not our grades. We're just kind of going through them. And this is one that I feel like came because they're overprojected. Their preseason projection was over under 54.5. So there was high hopes for a team. Anytime your projections go into the 50s, there's high hopes for your team. They finished 49-33, which didn't deliver on that. Still won majority of their games. You know what I mean? They weren't like barely over 500, but I think that's still a disappointment when you see a team like this that was so great getting Dame. I think losing Drew Holiday, shout out to him. He just got a new contract with the Boston Celtics. But Drew is that defense, man, is hard to replace. I feel like they've gotten a little bit better with that. throughout the season, and they got a little bit better throughout the season. But what does Giannis' health look like? Is Giannis going to be out there? Or
We don't know. I mean, right now it might be middle of this playoffs. So again,
okay,
they're
so
playing.
we'll
They
see.
should be playing Indiana. So again, who's beat them? So here's what I'm doing, my friend. I'm holding the Coach Bud baton. So when they
Goodness
lose,
gracious!
I'm gonna hand it off to you. It's right here. It's right here because I think you're ready to run off because
I was very
you very so
pissed about them firing Coach Bud.
so
Absolutely, I
I'm
felt like
waiting
it was
for
an
when they lose.
absolute mistake.
If they lose the first round in the playoffs to Indiana, the floor is yours, my friend. I think
You know, and I'm gonna love to take that baton
Mhm.
and wait for my guy, Coach Bud. But I think that I don't. At the same time, I don't want to crap on Coach Griffin since he's already been fired. He already didn't make it through the season. You know what I mean? So it's already kind of like I don't want to cast any aspersions on who replaced Coach Bud. I
Right,
just think it's
right.
dumb to fire a winning coach. It,
Yeah.
it is an absolute mistake.
Right. It's because it's funny because when you watch that team, they're older team, and he coached them the way he's like, okay. Because the one thing I always criticized them for was they never got offensive rebounds, but I was like, it made sense because they're older team. So he versus going for offensive rebounds, he had everyone run back, which made so much sense. Like, oh, we're not going to get fast break points. We can get in our defensive set. It's like I never thought of it that way, and it's like one of those other things I just didn't think about. Coach Bed was smart on. He's like, I knew what my team was, older team that weren't fast. I'm going to make everyone run back and not give up those fast break points, and that's why they won a lot of games.
And they got a lot of games. They got about over 70 games from Giannis and Lillard. I'm not sure they played them together. It says here. It says the Milwaukee Bucks, despite getting 70 plus games from each of Giannis and Damian, fell short of 50 wins. That's disappointing.
Very
disappointing. So that's probably why that leads to that D for them, even though their record is not horrible. The expectations were through the roof when they added Damian, and they're I think they probably got a worse record now than they had last year. Or looked
right.
up.
Could have just ran the same team back and had a better record.
Yeah. So let's go through here. Minnesota Timberwolves, A. No disagreement here, but only because I'm from Atlanta and I love this guy, Mr. Edwards, right here. And from the A, you're always going to have me rooting for the Timberwolves. Any team that Anthony Edwards is on, I'm going to be rooting for. So I have nothing bad to say about this team. 56-26. This is kind of where I guess they were expecting last year. Because remember when they made those trades last year, their expectation was that they were going to be able to turn into it pretty much for all the stuff they gave up to get Gobert. They were going to turn into a contender, right? Pretty instantaneously. Didn't materialize last year, but it sure did this year. So 56-26, the over under is 44.5. That's probably one of the bigger beats so far. Let's see. Want to break out to number one defense to 50 plus wins.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious. Wow.
Apparently Gobert was unhealthy last year, so he's healthy this year, and you can see
back to his defensive player of the year type form, right?
Right. And it seems like he's in just a good fit, good team. They figured out how to use him, and yeah, it'd be interesting what they see if they do in the playoffs. I mean, it could be one of those teams that I could see them going to the Western Conference Finals, but I could also see them losing the first round because Phoenix has had their number this season. So we'll have to see.
Yeah. And in the West, man, there's a great basketball teams out there.
Exactly.
Great basketball teams. So let's rock it through here, kind of speed through this. So New Orleans Pelicans, A-. I shout out to New Orleans Pelicans for kind of like pulling their team actually on the court as they envisioned it. It's hard. Listen, you can see, we just talked about this with the Clippers. It's hard sometimes to put the team on the court that you envisioned at the beginning of the season. Right. Yeah. So you envision these guys playing together, and throughout the last couple of years, a guy is out here, a guy is out there. You can't exactly get them on the court together for an extended period of time. I'm happy for the Pelicans for that alone. I think we talked about this last year. We talked about the Pelicans and kind of their ascension that they were having last year.
Yeah.
I can't say that they continue the ascension, but it's not derailed either. If I can kind of say like, so it's kind of, I guess it is a slow ascension. Maybe people were thinking off of last year's performance, they're going to come this year and be top 2 or 3 seed. You know what I mean? Going on a real run. And no, they're still just a pretty good basketball team.
Yeah.
It's not a bad team. Maybe A- is fine. A- is fine. I was going to say A- is probably where I would have been. B+, A-. So I'm kind of with that.
Yeah,
So I do
and
like watching this team, especially
right.
when Zion is out there.
Yeah, I got like I said, I have a lot of talent. I'd rather have a lot of talent and figure it out and versus Brooklyn. I have one person. I have a lot like right there in that picture. Look at that picture, how much talent you have in that picture right there.
Yeah, you
I'd
got
rather have that.
McCollum, Brandon
Yeah.
Ingram, and Zion, and that's what the picture. If you're a Pelican fan, you love to see.
Right, exactly. I'd rather have that problem and figure it out later on.
Now here we
Oh,
go.
here we go.
Here we go. New York Knicks. So all you Knicks fans, let me go ahead and go A+ for them.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to go about the top that I can go for this team. Only because to me, they're kind of ahead schedule. Look at there's the shades of what the 04 Pistons with Chauncey out there,
Yes.
right? You got a lot of guys out there, DiVincenzo giving you, you can't leave him out there. He can give you 20 to 30 if he has to.
Yeah.
And you got a bunch of guys that are great. Julius Randle's not playing is definitely going to hurt them because at some point you're going to run into a team that's fully healthy. Even if you run into like a Boston or somebody like that, I'm going to have a hard time. But nobody, let's look at their over and under because I'm thinking nobody had them winning 50 games.
No, I did not have them.
Let me see.
Games.
45 and a half.
40
So it's a little bit of respect. The disrespect wasn't too bad.
No.
45 and a half. But shout out to the Knicks, man. If you're a Knicks fan, this is your moment. You had to watch the Nets be a more entertaining team over the last few years when they had Durant and all those players. And now, who knew? You get Jalen Brunson, man, and you're out here looking. You're what, 2 seed? That's incredible.
A number 2 seed.
That's incredible.
Yeah, made smart trades, right? Wasn't like, oh, we signed some guys, but we weren't married to them. Like, it's like
slow clap for the Knicks here.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
At that A tiering on A+ for me. What do you got for them?
Right there with you, man. I mean,
okay.
the OG trade. I mean, look, it's just you can't argue with that.
Oklahoma City Thunder, A. I don't have anything bad to say about this team either. 57 and 25, 44 and a half. I would go A+. I love the Oklahoma City Thunder. I love the way that they were starting to kind of come on when they had Chet and, the SGA, of course, that is being a guy MVP contender. I love the team. There's nothing I don't have anything bad to say about the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they were an up and coming team. Now this is the kind of leap that I guess a lot of teams are feeling like the Pelicans were going to take.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma City actually took it.
Yeah.
So
my only nitpick here is I wish they would have done something at the trade deadline. Got another big man because you're going to need some big guys. And then
somebody go along with Chet down there.
So yeah, right. You look at that guy. Give him some hamburgers. Get some big guys. That's good. Just with the LAs, with the Denvers, you need some big guys, and like Minnesota as well.
So Orlando Magic, I have to agree with this as well. So a lot of these grades coming down the stretch, Bleacher Report's kind of nailing for me. Yes, only because of the expectation. They're exceeding expectations. 47 wins for them. Let's see. The projection was 37 and a half. So they didn't even predict them having a winning. They weren't even having them having a winning season. So for you to come in, win 47 games, I like what they're doing down there in Orlando. I have nothing bad to say about them. And I'm going to go A to A+ again for just exceeding expectations. A to A+ here for me for this team.
Yeah, the score, but like I said, great defensive team. Well, there should be like a fun team to watch in the playoffs.
All right. Philadelphia 76ers, B+, 47, 35, 48 and a half. Embiid was out a good part of this season. Okay. All things considered. All right. I probably would go B for this. This is a B, C+ team for me right now. But with Embiid back, they do go back into the B+ territory. He's an excellent player and a game changer. So B+ is not unfair at all with Embiid back in that lineup.
No, and then you have the Tobias Harris money coming off the contract off your books this year. Then you can get another player this next coming off season. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't expect them much in the playoffs. I don't think Embiid's still healthy, so we'll see what's going to happen. But yeah, B+ is fine. C+
for the Phoenix Suns, 49-33. They did not perform as well as Vegas and thought they would at 51 and a half wins. So they're a little bit under that at 49. Bradley Beal was in and out of this lineup. I think if Beal is healthy, this is a much more entertaining team to watch. Because just having a third guy like Beal out there, it's a big difference. I think what we saw last year with the Phoenix Suns was just a stunning lack of depth that they had last year.
Yeah.
So they tried to do some things to address that this year. I will see how it pays off here in the playoffs. C plus, okay, I can go there. There's nothing. I don't really have any argument with that because maybe if Bradley Beal's actually there, they can
if
get into
he
the
actually plays for the playoffs. I mean, which he's been healthy when we actually see these three guys together. Yes, but it remains to be seen at this point.
Correct.
And Grayson Allen, who knew that guy could actually?
He just got a new contract, by the way. New deal for shout out to Grayson Allen getting a new deal. He was a bit of a troublemaker in college. It's crazy how things have turned around for him. Portland Trailblazers, D-, 21-61, 28.5. So they didn't even hit the 28.5. This is a very bad team. Scoot Henderson has one of the worst over-unders in like historically speaking. He's been horrible from that plus-minus perspective. I don't know.
Right. I gotta wait.
I don't know about this.
Wait and see.
Yeah, I can't go higher than it can. I mean, you won 21 games. I mean, I'm glad they didn't give you an F.
I mean, Scoot at least had some glimpses, like it was turning the corner. I want to see it another season, and I just DeAndre Ayton. With DeAndre Ayton on your team, I don't know what your expectations are. At this point.
Goodness gracious! All right, let's rock it through. Sacramento Kings, B, 46-36, 44.5 for them. B plus for me for Sacramento. I like Sacramento. Sacramento's was kind of I'll stick at a B. Let me just stay right there. I'll stick with their B.
Yeah,
because Sacramento's one of those teams where I felt like was ascending. We called them a lead pass team a couple years back.
Definitely,
and they've been on that ascension, but they've kind of like stayed. They kind of flattened out. You know what I mean? Like, they've reached the ceiling of their capabilities here. So we'll see. I do like a few of their players, like the kid Keegan Murray on there, and of course I love Sabonis and Fox. Be interesting watching to see what they do. San Antonio Spurs D plus, in which all D plus probably coming from Victor Wembanyama. I mean, this team would probably get an F minus without Wembanyama out there running around. I mean,
right?
He's it's hard to feel sorry for a team that has Victor Wembanyama on it, even though it's D plus. You're still happy, right? Like, you got it. San Antonio has to be the happiest 22-60 team out there. You see here 22 wins. Like, we're terrible, but we got that guy Wembanyama. We're gonna be all right. We'll find a way, right? We're gonna find a way. We have a great player. I'd rather be trying to find a way with a great player than just trying to figure it out. But you're so terrible also that I can't get you into the C's. So I'm gonna stick with that D plus there for you.
Right. And he scored 17 points in 3 minutes was his last night. So I mean, it's like you're good. Bro. Yeah,
you're good. Beast of a player. Toronto Raptors got to be getting down towards the end here now. D plus for Toronto Raptors, 25-57. 36.5 on the preseason over and under. What's the preseason over and under for the Spurs? 28.5. It's
got to be
neither one of those. These guys
higher.
Thought they were going to suck, and they sucked worse than they thought they were going to be. Get rid of Anunoby. It's over with. It's over with. You don't have enough depth. When they got rid of Siakam and Anunoby, I knew that this team was.
It's all about the rebuild. Yep.
Yeah, man. It's welcome to rebuild land.
Yep.
Right. D plus Utah Jazz. You're joining them.
At least Utah had some.
I mean, they have marketing. I like marketing in it. But that's the player that I really like on Utah. I can't really say I really like a ton of those players. But marketing, I do like. D plus 31-51. Okay.
Again, they have all those picks with the Mitchell, with the Gobert. So they have their future. So, oh, God.
We're our last team here.
Oh, God.
And here's a team that's terrible. Washington Wizards, man, gosh, this is a bad basketball team. Yeah, man.
This is just
team. How did this team get a D minus? Like,
what do they see?
Man, what do they even see to not give them an F? 15-67, man. No, to me, this is a F team.
Yeah,
their projection was 24.5. You didn't even clear that. This is an F team, man. This team, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. If my team is led and I have Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole,
what's going on there?
What's going on? Like, this team, what is this team, man? Like, how did they not get an F? I don't understand it. I mean,
maybe the talent on the team.
As much as I complain about my team, and you know how I complain about the Hawks, man, I could do a whole episode ranting about how our inadequacies here.
Right.
Throughout the years. And this is a team where I'm like, man, but those guys though, like, glad if there's any team, I'm glad we're not. I'm glad we're not the Washington Wizards right now.
Right. Yeah. I don't even how is this a D minus? Maybe they're just being nice. Maybe the writers from Washington, he just wanted to, he wrote this report. It was like, I just got to give my team a D minus. But yeah, I don't get it. This is like one of the worst teams. Like
one of the
at least
5 worst defensive ratings in league history.
Right. At least the other teams
Goodness
above,
gracious.
like you would want to watch. Maybe there's some teams you would want to watch Utah play.
At least watch the players. We just talked about Wembanyama.
Right.
At least on Spurs mode, watch
Right.
the player.
I want to watch
play,
Wembanyama. I mean, I know they're not going to be horrible, but at least I want to watch.
Who do you want to watch on Washington, bro?
There's nobody.
Who do
They're
you wanna
all been
watch on this
traded away. These are all watched. It's these guys that have been traded from other teams that we know. Like the reason why they got traded.
Other teams' second and third best players,
Right?
Collection, make up the collection of the Washington Wizards. Like that's what's going on here, man. Oh man, well, thank you for joining us. This is Just the Stats. Check us out. Check iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, where you find your podcast. Check us out on YouTube as well as TikTok and Instagram. Talk to you later. All right.